I'm not rushing, you still have time.
Yeah, I just have to get.
Just getting it ready.
Please connect. It will always take a second.
Plain thing. I was thinking.
Okay. Get back to. Agenda. All right. Did you just? They just gave you those.
Okay. In the mail.
All right, let's go ahead and, call this meeting to order at 6:32. Can we declare a quorum?
I can. We have Chair Valadez,
Yes.
Commissioner Couture,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris, and Commissioner Moore. We have a quorum of 4.
Okay.
Give me just a second.
First item on the agenda, and I have to make sure I use the PDF printable. because-
Actually, you don't. We've fixed the glitch, so
You
they
did?
they are the same.
Oh, okay, great. There we go. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any public comments for items not on the agenda? Moving on. The approval of the minutes. Did anybody have any concerns or corrections to the minutes on record? I did not. Nor did I.
I move to approve the agenda item for both February 20th and March 19th.
I second. Actually, that's the agenda from last, or that's the minutes from last time.
Yeah. The minutes we're approving are the ones from April.
April 16th.
Did everybody else read the April 16th minutes? Okay, I had no issue with those.
I read them. I have no issue. I just went,
I was looking at the agenda, sorry.
Okay. So does somebody else need to make the motion or?
It can still be.
I'll move to approve
Okay.
the minutes.
Okay.
Second, okay.
okay.
Commissioner Moore seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously.
Next item is fiscal year 24-25 Park and Lieu and Public Art Fund budget review. Review the budget that's been submitted for the Park and Lieu and Public Art Funds, and that is item number 2 with a PDF attached.
Okay, so I will go ahead and give a short overview of this, and we have one public speaker. So this item in front of you is just a review of the budget. The city staff has put together the city operating and capital improvement budget for the fiscal year 24-25 coming up, starting in July. And the 2 items that are related to this commission are the 2 budget items, are the Public Art Fund and the expenditures out of the Public Art Fund, as well as the Park and Lieu. So the Park and Lieu was set up by staff through a lot of direction from council as well. So I have listed there the Park and Lieu projects that will be addressed or are being addressed. I think I broke it up into 2 sections in the project description there, and what we're doing. So really, it kind of gives you an update on the projects that we're just finishing or just started, and we'll be finishing in the next fiscal year, and then the projects that will be coming up. Really, there wasn't a whole lot of actual changes. Most of the projects that we couldn't complete were pushed from fiscal year 23-24 to 24-25. And that's just the bandwidth thing with staff. There's only so many projects we were able to complete in this fiscal year. What will be coming up, are when those projects come through this commission will see projects such as the dog park, and we'll be getting input on these projects. And that's going through the conceptual plans and construction plans and things like that, as well as other items that are very particular that will actually need direction and recommendation from this commission, such as playgrounds. Playgrounds are the things that we're actually adding on to the upcoming fiscal year, and we'll be talking about where those playgrounds go in. So once again, the Park and Lieu Fund, last year was funded and I don't have the exact amount, but it was just over $8 million. We had budgeted 4 million expenditures for this fiscal year. Looks like we're pushing over a couple million for the next fiscal year, or actually 3 million, I believe it is, for next fiscal year. And that's the Park and Lieu budget. So I just wanted to kind of give you an overview on that.
Question.
Yes.
When you, because I want to make sure I'm referring to the correct fiscal year. When you said next fiscal year, you mean 24-25?
Yes.
And the current one, 22?
That's all I'll be speaking on tonight is the next fiscal year being 24-25, because we're not in there in July yet.
So when you say push 2-3 million to next fiscal year, which is 24-25, you're pushing from the prior year to 24-25?
Current year to the.
Okay,
And that is the 1, 2, 3, 4 projects that were started in 23-24?
Yes, those were being pushed.
okay.
And some of they were started, all those projects that you see on the list are projects that we're gonna do next year, but those ones that have started, I'm just showing you that some of that money was expended already.
Okay.
Those homes.
And do those remain the top priority because they are in process?
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. So they'll get moving. So that is an overview. I'll ask questions all at once, but let me talk about the other budget, the park, the public art fund. So the public art fund budget is, did I put the number in here?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, 127. So what we're doing there is last year, your public art fund was budgeted for 119, I believe it was. We did not expend all those money. I know a lot of that money was set aside for the Hart Gateway project at 75,000. But the 119 wasn't fully expended. Based on the maintenance that I've looked at, I have looked at the maintenance schedule. And there's a lot of stuff going on, so I don't have an actual quote yet, but based on what I think that maintenance schedule is gonna be, plus any excess funds for any purchases or recommendations from this commission that may be accepted by council or just done by this commission, that's why I came up with 127. So I mean, I know it's not a precise number, it's not 100, it's not 150, but I think that's about what we're gonna need for this commission. Now, that doesn't mean both of these funds, let me conclude with, both of these funds are not, it's not terminal of what we've done. One of it is based as far as like, that's it, 127, you're not stopping there if something else comes up. So please, I wanna encourage the commission not to say, oh, we can't do this because we don't have the money. We've already spent all this money or gonna spend all this money. So if some big ticket item that may come up, that would be a recommendation to council now. So these two numbers are gonna go to council in the regular budget process. Once the city's budget is approved, that is approved. Okay? So anything in excess of this that may come up during the year, I'm sure council would be open to at least listening to any recommendations from this commission on either art or Park and Lieu. Now, Park and Lieu, it's a little harder to get that passed because a lot of those are projects. It's development or acquisition of parkland. So in that projects, you can work with me if something comes up, but obviously council has its priorities. You see what we're doing already. It would be hard to push that aside and have my staff work on something different if it came up. But we can still work through things like that and get it in future schedules, okay? So with that, are there any clarifying questions?
Yes, I have one.
With regard to the park, I'm sorry, the public art fund,
Mhm.
when you said, I'm paraphrasing, these amounts are not ceilings.
Yes.
If something comes up, park may recommend, and the city council will or may listen. And doing something in the Park and Lou area would be tougher because you've got resources committed and planned and all that. But in the public art fund, there might be some more willingness to listen if we come up with something. The question I have is, have you thought of, has staff thought of the impact of the recent ordinance in terms of changing how public art funds can be used? i.e. to put public art on private property and to perhaps offer grants to other entities that would be outside. How would that relate to park? And how does it impact this process?
That actually has not been put through yet and has not been gone for final approval. Presumptively being passed as the new policy. It's my understanding, I have read the draft. And at this point, it's my understanding that it wouldn't impact staff work necessarily. When you're talking about issuing grants or funding to other organizations or groups that may do those things, I think that would just be the extent of the staff commitment to something like that. So that's my understanding so far from what I've read, is exactly like you're saying. If they're going to give out grants, they're just going to give out grants. It's not a matter of, okay, we're going to have to install, like any kind of project that we do or any purchase that we make, our staff will put that on public property because it's our property, we're going to install it. And I can tell you this much, if it's on private property, we cannot install it. So,
Okay, so I understand that explains the staff impact, but what about the budget impact? If we're talking about around 127K, is that also the pot from which grants, I'm using the term grants as a generic term, might be issued to other organizations?
in short, no, because this is the budget that I've created off of potential purchases, rentals, and maintenance.
Thank you.
That we may need. This is the budget that we will freely discuss here at this table, and this commission will decide how it's used. Besides maintenance, I'll decide.
Thank you. That clarifies for me. Those are my questions. Anybody else?
I don't have a clarifying question. I watched the Financial Commission last night and I thought they did a very good job of explaining everything and helping us understand all the pots that need to be fixed and where the money's going and stuff. So
Watch that video.
yeah, watch that video. It's long, but yeah.
It's an important meeting.
So I just have a clarifying question, if I could, the Park and Lou, so in the paragraph under Park and Lou, it says total Park and Lou funding for 2024-25 is expected to be 2.4 million, so that's the new money coming in.
Yes.
Okay, and then so the number at the bottom, I'm a little dense on some of this sometimes, under public art, it says fiscal impact Park and Lou fund, 3,500,000. That's from what we have polling from last year into, okay, just making sure I was following. Okay, thank you.
If there's no other questions, we have a speaker.
We do. Jim, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, Chair Valadez, would you like to give Jim 3 minutes?
Yes, please.
Okay, for the record, I'm Jim Wing, I live on Milverton Road. I would like to ask you to make a motion and approve an addition to the caretaker, Redwood Grove caretaker house removal. And that addition would be to add assess the ADA requirements for Redwood Grove. When Redwood Grove was first done in the 80s or so, ADA was installed. And if you look at what was installed today, it turns out that the pad, which is the loading pad, has a feature on it right now. The places where the cars park is a pile of chips, and there is a post that is blocking any car access. So in other words, the Redwood Grove has zero ADA access. ADA very clearly states that any public park has to have at least one ADA access, and right now we do not. And so therefore, this was attempted to be addressed when the Beamer property was bought about 15 years ago, 14 years ago, which gave us a connection to Patriots Corner. Patriots Corner plus everything, the show park and everything has ADA access already. And so therefore, what was proposed at that time, and there's even some drawings for that, was the same elevated pathway, board pathway that we have right now on the Loop Trail. And it goes from the Redwood Grove entrance at Patriots Corner to the flat part of the pavement of the road that goes in. And this would satisfy the legal requirements. All you do is, probably extra thing to do is to add a sign up on the university entrance. Keep in mind, the University Avenue slope going in is 20 degrees and ADA only allows 10 degrees. So there's no way we can practically use that. In fact, if you do this project this way, when you have the caretaker house removed, you're going to rearrange the furniture in that area, and you'll have more space to do it. Now, by bundling these projects, when you bundle, you save money and you save staff time. Because basically one contractor, in this case, one bid can do everything. And since presumably the drawings are done, or it's the same design that was used on the Loop Trail. So therefore, staff time is not drastic in this case. So this project or ADA has been overlooked for many years. Even the consultant who did ADA surveys did not look at Redwood Grove. And also this has become an issue with Los Altos Hills and the connector pathway, this type of thing. So therefore, it is time that we did it because we're exposed to lawsuits right now. Thank you.
May I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
I want to make sure I'm understanding the terminology that you're using. When you say ADA access, are you talking about a parking space, or are you talking about a road that meets the 10-degree limitation?
Neither one.
Okay.
Neither one in Redwood Grove, because they already exist at Patriots Corner. It's a parking lot at Show Park.
Yes.
It has all the ADA, and the pathway to go into Patriots Corner is ADA, and you walk a flat straight, and that's the Patriots Corner entrance to Redwood Grove.
Okay, so why did you mention the slope from University down, which is a steep slope?
Yes, I mentioned that because there's no hope that the ADA would ever approve that steep slope to get in.
So what would be the alternatives that would be ADA compatible in your mind?
Sure. To go ahead and use at the Patriots Corner entrance to Redwood Grove, which is a dirt pathway. And that dirt pathway would have a slightly elevated wood boardwalk that proceeds over to the flat part, or basically goes over to where the caretaker house is. And that would be fully ADA approved. It would be compliant with the designs we already have. So it's hopefully minimal staff time in this way, because bundling is a key to making it happen. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me make sure I was visualizing that.
Okay.
Was there any other public comment on this item? Did anybody have any other questions or comments?
Would the chair, like to put a motion forward that this looks good?
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering if there's any, so nobody has any discussion on,
I would just like, really, I just need that so I could tell council that you've seen what we're proposing for this fiscal year.
I guess, can we have a discussion
What we-
for a minute about this item?
if somebody makes a motion
Okay.
to acknowledge that we have reviewed this and it makes sense to us.
I can make that
Then,
motion.
and then as part of approving that motion, we can have a brief discussion if necessary.
Okay,
That's why I went to the meeting last night.
Okay,
Go
go ahead.
I recommend that we, accept this report and we, pass it on to city council for approval, with the knowledge that we've reviewed everything understand it.
Is that Casey?
Carrie, was this enough to cover the maintenance expenses? I thought that one restoration project was like,
Can I get the second first and then we'll have the
I
discussion?
can second it.
Yeah, okay, sure. Commissioner Moore seconds.
Okay.
Discussion?
Okay, now discussion. Go ahead.
wasn't there a bid for the restoration that was, like 100,000 or something?
Which restoration?
I want to say it was
Oh, you're talking about the art.
yeah.
Yeah. That's in the art fund. Yeah, so there's the two big ones that,
That was proposed at 100.
Wasn't it?
well, it was all four were 100,
Okay,
remember?
yeah. So that would deplete our budget pretty quickly, but I mean, I think maintenance should be top priority, right?
Yeah, we can do that.
That means there's nothing left to purchase art then, I mean, 27,000. So we may have a problem because of our agenda item that we're gonna discuss later. We won't have money for it.
Oh, that's a good point. The
The stairs.
stairs. It probably will cost more than 27K.
No, but once again, we can still add money if we have like, especially that, right now, you still have Jesus, like $80,000 or $90,000 right now. So if you make the sooner, and of course, that money will just have to be redistributed to the next fiscal year. If we don't get this artist on and pay him or her, I'm not sure exactly what the options were, before the fiscal year ends. So the money that was supposed to be paid for this project is in the 119 that we're sitting on right now.
Correct.
Alright, so that, what I'll do is I will just put, because that money's not going anywhere, it's just gonna go back into the public art fund.
Okay.
We'll pull it out.
Correct.
So you don't have to worry about projects as much. I think that this will be covered. So let me assure you that when the projects come up, we can ask for the funding. You have, if those four things are to $100,000,
I think it was like 80.
then you still have 27,000, and I don't know what we have planned to spend it on at this point. But if you need more for a good project, I wouldn't be worried about getting more money. So let me just say that, okay?
So I wanna go backwards, so if we have 80 to 90K now, it would be 2023, 2024 fiscal year that we're talking about.
Yep.
And then we get 127K for 2024, 25, then that takes us closer to 200,000.
No, it doesn't work like that. So with the CIP budget, those buckets are here. So if we spend the money that we have allotted of the 119 now, if we don't, then that's
It's
gone.
gone.
You're working off the 127 right now.
Okay, so then what we need to do is we need to take that money that we have now and put those four things.
Well, we already approved them
Put
to
down a
be.
deposit for the stairs. I mean, I'm sure he wants.
So back to the maintenance, we already approved that,
Yeah.
what, how many months ago?
So, yeah.
And I can probably work on that right away because I have that contact. Sure.
Okay.
So then we can use that on the maintenance and you still have plenty of money next fiscal year. Yeah.
Okay,
So can we make a friendly amendment to the motion?
Yes.
Can you verbalize it?
do we need a friendly amendment?
Yeah, I don't think,
That's what the
you don't
friendly
need to say you spend the money that you're supposed to spend this
Right.
year. You don't need.
Yeah, because that would be the friendly
That's a
amendment,
staff-
would be
that's a staff
and
direction.
immediately spend down this year's budget to do the maintenance. That would be the friendly amendment, but,
We don't need to do
We
that.
don't need
okay.
to do
All
that.
council wants to hear is that you've seen this budget and it looks good
Correct.
for you.
Yeah.
You know, you've seen it and I, you know, without speaking for you, it looks good to you as long as we spend the money on the maintenance that we need to right now.
this fiscal year. And then, so we have till July, we're almost in June, so.
I can get her.
Okay.
All right.
And then, I have a question.
Yes.
So, our speaker, public, about the pathway. And I have a question about the caretaker house demo and replacement. Does that go in front of, we never talked about it as a commission, about it being demoed. That's not a historic building, no issues with it being demoed. Okay, so did it just go to council and get approval? Is that how that works?
It was approved last year for just the demo
Just
as part of the
Okay.
budget. but I changed the recommendation for this coming year and say it's hard to demo that, being that Grassroots Ecology uses that for storage and our staff uses it for camp storage too and camp usage, for staff. So it's a bigger project in this upcoming year, but that's, we want to do it at the same time. I don't want to just demo it and get rid of it when I think there's some advantages to having the plumbing and the electrical there too.
Right,
It's gonna be a bigger project,
Got it.
but it's something that we could take into consideration.
okay. And,
ADA.
So the scope has in fact expanded, and that's, exhibited here on the list.
Yes.
so are you, just to clarify, are you saying that you are considering what we were just presented with by?
When that project comes around, we haven't even started that project yet.
Okay,
Well, we've basically done some investigation into how the facility would be. We're looking at putting a storage facility / restroom there.
okay,
So we've just investigated on that, on what it could be. As far as any kind of electrical hookups from PG&E, ADA requirements, because ADA requirements have changed since the
right,
60s or whenever the last was built up to ADA. So those things will all have to come into play.
okay. yeah.
So now what our speaker spoke about, as long as I'm not misunderstanding it, the speaker spoke about was the ADA connection
Yeah.
from Shout Park. Because that is something that was talked about. I understand that once it was discussed and considered in the past, that there were some complications with actually paving that area or putting planks or whatever, the boardwalk that needs to be put there. So there were some complications. We'll look into that and see what those complications were.
Okay,
But there were, as your speaker said, there were some plans put together. I do recall
okay.
coming across that. It's just a matter of what do we have to do now? But that's, yeah, we'll actually consider that when we talk about the project.
I would assume when a building is taken down, if you're going to build another one,
Another facility, bathroom, whatever, all the laws come into play at that
All the
point.
laws will come into play for that facility.
right,
But what our speaker was talking about was the ADA connection.
right.
Getting people from the disabled parking to the Redwood Grove is what he's talking. That's not connected to the building, but we'll look into it.
Right, okay.
Okay.
All right.
It does make sense. You can, save money if you do other things.
Would it be fair to say that, i.e., in other words, the scope of the project remains the scope of the project?
Yes.
Yes.
However, would it be fair to say that when the time comes that we do a master parks plan,
That's what I'm hoping for, but the master parks plan, as I've said before, is on hold until the general plan is done for the city.
so that's when we can do the larger
Right.
context and the interconnectedness and the this and the that. But as Manny said, it comes after the general fund.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's a bit of time that we have to wait.
Yes.
Okay, with that, are we done with discussion? Can we call a vote? Yes.
We can. Are you ready?
Yes.
Chair Valados?
Yes.
Commissioner Couture?
Yes.
Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
And Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Okay, that passes unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on. The call for art, RFQ submission review, finalists and final scope of work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll talk to you. We'll talk about that, okay? Take care.
Is there a staff report?
Sure, I can read this. The park will further define the scope as directed by, this commission at the last meeting. Further define the scope for the steps at the, council chambers for the art. Understanding that we have 2 finalists for this. I actually didn't put I had put their names in here initially. But I think it's irrelevant who they are at this point because the mission of this item is to come up with the final scope and then we can talk about how that process of selecting the one artist will be. Okay?
Okay, with that in mind, I'm gonna ask, Commissioner Couture to join this part for continuity's sake. Go ahead.
So, we reviewed, the artists at the last meeting, and we came up with, 2 artists that we, think, best answered the questions on the first call for art. And so we were supposed to, pardon me, allergies. We were supposed to come up with some, criteria, so these arts, so that the artists can come back and give us a better scope of what their work is gonna be. And so, we were asked to do that, and I have my ideas. Does everybody else have their ideas?
Do we want to get the, just for my edification, the finalists name?
Oh, yeah. Adrian Littman and Chris, Granillo. Granillo, yeah, I'm always afraid to say.
Granillo.
Adrian Littman, Litman,
Adrian Littman.
and Chris, yeah, he wanted to see did you want to see this?
Yeah, can I-
Sure.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Chris.
Granillo.
Granillo.
This gentleman. And for, it would be,
One's mosaic, one is paint.
okay.
Although Littman can paint also, I looked at his resume.
Are you oriented?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I suggest is everybody just contribute their scope, criteria, considerations, and then we'll look at them all and just mull over them and see if we can narrow everything down. There may be commonality amongst us.
Probably.
And then maybe somebody has something to do. So, random order.
Sure.
So I thought about the, space. And I would say, my recollection was that it was a call to art for the risers, and then maybe have the ramp included, which I would like to see something that ties the ramp and the stairs, the risers together. I am not attached to it not being anywhere else, but keeping in mind that there's a budget involved in this. So I think it's fair that the ramp would have something as well, so that we take care of everybody that enters the building. So I just want to give that tiny bit of history, because I don't know if everybody knows it, but 1954, J. Gilbert Smith sold that hunk of land to Los Altos. The Smiths bought their property in 1901. In the 80s, the city protected it and became a heritage orchard. It's one of 3 heritage orchards that are left: Saratoga, Sunnyvale, and Los Altos. It's an entrance to our city council chambers. So, and it's sometimes the only entrance that a visitor to our city may see about our city. So some people come and literally park in the parking lot and walk in there, and they only go into chambers for a meeting. So I would like it to have something that represents the orchard that it sits within. And I'd like it to reflect our city in some way. So in other words, not just abstract. It can have an abstract element to it, but I'd like to have it have some realism and some roots to it. I also think it needs to reflect that historic orchard, working orchard that it sits within, as I said. I'd like to see something a nod to the history, to our city hall, a diverse population that we have, nature, so land, bugs, bees, birds, apricots, and then a nod to the future. So I think it's important, in my opinion, that we do that. I also am concerned about the environment. So whenever I'm considering doing something to my house that could leach or degrade over time, I think about what's this going to do to the groundwater. So whatever we choose, I would want us to be thinking about how it's going to degrade with time. So it is sitting in an orchard. We don't want whatever it is to be going into the soil or into the groundwater. And just, it's not right, in my opinion, to do that kind of thing to the planet anyway. So those are my main thoughts about what I'd like to see there.
If I may, I'm going to summarize. Okay, you want the space to include the risers, but also, potentially the ramp to the left, as you're facing the building to the left. You didn't mention any other aspects, so I'm limited to those two.
I'm okay with more, I just know what the call for art was.
Okay,
And
and
I-
then,
Budget.
you mentioned the J. Gilbert Smith House, its history, and therefore you would like to see, to reflect the fact that the orchard is proximal to this site, to this location. You prefer more realism, less abstraction. You wanted to reflect our diverse populations, the land and nature. You would like the history to be represented, but also all the way up to present and the future. And you have a concern in terms of, the environmental friendliness of, I would imagine, the construction, but then also the final piece of art to make sure it does not leach anything into the environment that would be, harmful to it. That's how I read you.
Yeah, and the nature aspect of it, again, bringing in the land, the apricots, I mean, showing that it's in an orchard.
Right.
Something that represents our city.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Okay, so I have a background in property management, so coming from like a purely functional standpoint, I think that porcelain is definitely the better material to use here because paint does, I don't think it holds up nearly as well. And I also think that it could be, there's more room for it to be defiled, you know, I mean, you can't really like, if somebody paints over paint, it is what it is, you know what I mean? But porcelain can be, you can clean it. So that's something to consider. And also just generally, like you can clean porcelain and not damage the work, whereas paint, you know, it might not, over time, it might not keep its vibrancy. And I actually really, from a design standpoint, I really like actually using the canopy. I know we didn't discuss that, but I think it adds like some balance and symmetry. It's kind of interesting. The canopy, do you see like in his rendering, he also proposed doing the canopy?
You mean above the door?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know if that's within our budget, but I like that from just like an aesthetic standpoint. But the ramp, I'm concerned about the ramp because although porcelain is durable, if we're planning to put it on the actual walkway, yeah, it's slippery and it can chip and it can create some issues, and I wouldn't want to jeopardize that, you know, for people having easy access. Maybe we can consider doing like the wall of the ramp.
Does the ramp
have a wall? Well, I mean, we could do it maybe like right here,
Yeah.
or like the interior walls, you know what I mean? But
would be better on the wall.
yeah, I don't think
Just
we should, yeah.
state that opinion, we'll get it down. So you would not like art on the ramp, but you prefer the walls.
The walls of the ramp, yeah.
Okay.
And then I agree with Teresa that I think it is important that visually it represents Los Altos. It's emblematic of our town. I love the idea of nature, apricots, poppies even, birds and bees. I mean, it's a small space and it's narrow, so it'd be interesting to see how they'd be able to incorporate a lot of different elements, but I challenge the artists to try. I mean, it's, you know, yeah.
So what I heard from you is, you have a background in property management. And as a result, you prefer porcelain over paint for its durability and its imperviousness to all kinds of problems. Paint tends to deteriorate more quickly. You would really like the scope to include the canopy. It would become an issue of budget. But the design might be more holistic if it includes it. You do not prefer art on the actual ramp, but you would be amenable to art on the walls, surrounding the ramp.
Or the interior walls.
The curve.
Yeah.
The curve of the ramp.
Yeah.
So there's the little edges. Yeah, I agree. I think that's good. When I was thinking about it, I was
It's
thinking.
also the facade of the ramp though.
Yeah, but if you're thinking, that you want people who are using the ramp to enjoy it, then it would have to be on the interiors.
And there's nothing stopping it from having both. You want it to visually represent Los Altos, poppies, nature, birds, bees.
Yeah.
Abby's. Did I capture it?
Yeah.
Great, okay. Your turn?
I basically only have three things. Type of medium that is gonna weather. And I'm not, either one. I just wanna make sure that the medium that they're gonna use is gonna weather, and they have some kind of, history of that to tell us. And then the history of Los Altos is varied. We had railroad here, we had an airport, we've had many historical homes. So I just want them to take the history of Los Altos and figure out what their vision of that is. And I think dynamic colors would be preferable to me rather than subtle colors.
I think you're the railroad. I forgot about the railroad.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm old.
Was a station.
No, that's so cool. Yeah.
I'm old.
Yeah. No. It's just.
And all those houses down on Del Monte were summer homes for the people in
Yeah.
San Francisco, so.
Yeah,
We-
but
we-
just wait, what was the
we were on
railroad?
vacation, we're in-
Yeah. Because of the weather.
Okay, my criteria, I really want us to be specific about what I call the site boundaries, i.e. the scope of the art. And I will always lean to a wider scope of the implementation of the art rather than a narrow. I believe, one of my concerns is that, it's not a concern, one of my hopes is that whatever gets designed in whatever medium is used, that it is cohesive with the architectural style of this building. This building has an Asiatic design with the low pitch roofs, with the steel curvilinear eaves, and with the board and batten facade of the building itself, the walls, the construction using board and batten. And then, of course, it has the glass front there, which almost gives it an Eichler-ish air, but it's not Eichler. So it does look more Asiatic. So in terms of selecting the art style for the decorative elements, it would seem to me while I love rich cacophonies of color, I don't know if it would match the style of the building. So I would be willing to entertain options that include both very rich and dynamic coloring, and then also more subtle Asiatic types of coloring. And I still think that either one could be integrated with the topics that everybody has mentioned that relate to Los Altos and relate to its history. The other thing is that anytime I see a staircase, whether it's a long, narrow staircase or a wide, low one like this one, it's always interesting to me as I approach it that I see some kind of story that is told as you rise, as you go up. And so one of the comments that I made when I wrote it down, I was like, it might be interesting to see our history as the risers rise. And since I want decorating the ramp, interiors and exteriors, not the surface, it gives us a pretty broad palette to display some kind of a history that expands and rises, that culminates in something, a nod to the future. So, and when I want our history to start, I want our history to start before 1942. I want our history to start back, before even all the way back to when the indigenous peoples were here. And it doesn't have to be a big thing, but something that demonstrates the full history of this area that culminates in a nod to the future. So kind of up and out, that kind of progression and storytelling. The other thing is I also have a preference for porcelain. I just think it weathers better. The only kind of painting that I tend to like, if somebody tells me that my future maintenance budget is going to be somewhat limited, is one of the artists was working with the fabric that literally subsumes into the concrete. I've seen that stuff in action, and I've seen it last a very long time, and it doesn't seem to weather as long as it's not directly in the sun. Because this has a north-facing direction, it will be somewhat protected from the sun, although it will still get hit by UV. but it won't have direct sun. So I have seen that stuff work, but unfortunately, the two artists that we chose, they're not familiar with that technology. So because of that, I'm strongly in favor of porcelain. I also think that from a historical standpoint, there should be some consistency between the story we tell and the story and the history we tell in this with what's being told here in the community center. So that there's this kind of overarching echo and resonance with the other elements of the campus. So it's an opportunity to tie them together in some way. I would be really interested in that. And then I also agree that the canopy, if we should design for it, and we can always take it back if it's outside our budget or we're unsuccessful in convincing council to spend the money. But I think a more holistic design is what we should go for, and then have step backs financially if those are required. The last thing is the landscaping. I would like to make sure that it doesn't have to be part of the scope of this project, but that we're thinking about how we can make a nice, sustainable, easily maintainable, native-based landscape that softens the features of whatever we end up designing here. So those are my things. Make sure we know the scope of the art, the boundaries, including the ramps and the stairs and the surrounding hardscapes. Keep it in the architectural likeness of the building, both in terms of the coloring and the scheming, and then history. Tell the tale of our history as it rises and expands, rises up the stairs and expands out to the complementary elements, and going all the way back and with a nod to the future. And then a preference for strong preference. As a matter of fact, I'm really hard on going for porcelain. Somebody who had to work really hard to convince me about paint. And then somehow be cohesive with the campus and the community center in particular. So that's my thought.
I know, we are very much on the same page.
Do we have a budget? Because I think that it's important to give the designer.
You guys did the call for art.
I mean, I have no idea what something like this will cost.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask,
I have
because
no
I don't
clue.
think, I don't think the
Did you
budget
have
should be restricting, because if you need more, I'll see how much we have left of the 119. And we'll see. I don't think you've spent very much of it though, so.
Yeah,
Not plenty, I just don't know how much a project, does this project like this cost over $100,000? I don't know.
I would porcelain tile is very, especially because it's custom
Yeah,
tile.
that's what I'm saying, I
And
don't
you want
know.
it to be high-fired porcelain. You
Yeah.
don't want it to be
And
earthenware.
it's gonna be all hand done.
Do you know how long those stairs are?
Well, whatever.
So one thing that can be done is an artist can take the edges and can do more less intricate work on parts of it, you know, and then do more focused, like medallion pieces or something like that. So the whole thing doesn't have to be just like a pop of, you know, everything's in there like a painting would have.
I know what you mean, and it's actually a little less shocking to the system, because you don't walk up to just like, whoa, like.
You can spend a little more time focusing
Yes.
on vignettes within
Yeah, that could work.
And a good artist will understand these factors, how to have, because all art needs to have loud and quiet space.
Yeah,
So even bold artists know that the eye needs to have variation,
rest.
just like in singing, just like in acting, you need dynamics. So I think that as long as we're picking good artists, which I think both of them probably are, I think we covered there.
I'm just worried about the cost, so we have 119.
You
that
know,
we're-
I wouldn't worry about the cost.
I wouldn't, yeah.
This is a very core part of our city. It is where most, you know, where developers come, where petitioners come. This is our seat of government. I say we design something beautiful, and then in the city, you know, and we ask for something beautiful and comprehensive. I would always go bold, and then it could be up to the city council to pull us back, and that's fine. But what I don't want to do is make something that's just minimal, cheap, and then we live with that for the next 50 years.
I agree, but we had that problem with the heart sculpture, and so I keep thinking.
I don't think cost was the issue there. I think there was a concern
They
was cost
didn't
plus
believe in it.
They didn't believe
Okay.
the topic,
They
the
approved
art
it already,
content.
So, okay.
So they were willing to let us go with it at a very low price, but when the real price came back, they're like, oh, I don't really like it, and it's really expensive, bleh.
Okay.
And that's unfortunate, but that was their decision.
So on the talking about the porcelain, it's going to be much more expensive than painting is going to be. There's no doubt about it.
It's gonna last longer.
If the, it may outlast the building, if the entry over the door,
The canopy.
the canopy, if that's what we wanna call it, if the canopy is going to be part of it, again, this can be toned down. I mean, there could be some tile work there and then have a theme that goes through it. One is facing
Sunset
through
or
it.
something, or sunrise.
I am not attached to anywhere other than the risers and the ramp, and that again was a cost thing. And the ramp part is because the way we treat people who can get around on their two legs as opposed to people who use a vehicle, I just think we have to be fair on both.
Well,
So if we can't do them both, I'd say,
What we could do is request, a 3-stage, we want the risers and the wall of the ramp. We also want the risers, the wall of the ramp and the walls of the risers, and then we want the canopy with all those, so we could have them say 3 different bids.
yeah. I mean, I think that would be fine to break it into compartments like that.
When I think of art, I think of the whole masterpiece. And I know that budgetarily, we can ask the artist to craft things in parts that are easy to remove. But I would suggest that we present something that is, I wouldn't break it down to too many, maybe just the risers, and then maybe,
What about the risers and the ramp?
my honest opinion, I would say everything down here, and the only option we offer is the canopy.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
We should be committed to making this
Sure.
part of it absolutely gorgeous and comprehensive. And it encompasses whether they're coming up and down the stairs or whether they're going down and up the ramp. There should be experience for both of those categories of people. And it should be holistic, and I don't want the art to just be this little tiny narrow staircase, and then everything else behind it is cold concrete. To me, that would almost make the cold concrete look ugly. So I think we should be bold. This is an opportunity to be bold.
Let's clarify, if I may, in this picture, we have the risers, we have not the banister, but I don't know what you would call it.
That's a banister.
A banister, and then these two little wingies off to the side.
Those are the planter curbs.
Okay,
And the planter curbs could be decorated all the way to the point where they meet the ramp. This artist has represented cutting it off at about 2 yards.
I know.
So,
So, I mean, I would like it to go all the way to the ramp or not at all, because I think it looks
I agree.
like, why isn't there more?
This saves money though, like, I think we could do without it. I think it looks
I think we could.
We have to think about money though, because look at his previous works. This one is $47,000. This one is $100,000. This is probably more in line with because it's repetitive, but it's a lot of work, and I mean,
Also, anywhere near the landscaping, there's gonna be weed whackers, there's gonna be lawnmowers, there's gonna be sprinklers.
Porcelain can take it. That's not a problem. We should not be the ones to narrow the scope of this art. Let's let city council do
Can I
that.
make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Sounds like you've got the medium, right?
No. I
Oh,
am not
don't?
sold on
On porcelain?
porcelain, nope.
Oh,
porcelain's
okay.
less toxic than paint.
I do know that, depends on what kind of paint, but
I'm sure it's not. Anything that's eco-friendly unfortunately tends to not
I
like.
think about, does anybody else want any paint or
The
only
other thing
porcelain?
tile can actually be now, with computers and stuff, they can actually put all that stuff in a computer and make the tile that way too, if you see the new stuff, the really new stuff, and it looks like it's painted on. So I don't think
But he doesn't do that. He does mosaic.
but we don't know what he does.
I went on his website.
But it doesn't matter. You give somebody the opportunity to do something new, they're gonna do it.
Okay, so the truth of it is this was option one. This is what he got the most votes.
Yeah,
And
he
then
did.
the other one got the second.
Yeah,
Place.
he got second place.
So I thought, I mean, so what I'm hearing is everybody wants porcelain. That's their top choice.
Well, I have one concession to that. I believe that anything that is human height and down must be porcelain. I am willing to consider some painted art for the canopy that's cohesive with the rest. But, you know, for weight considerations and, ease of, replacement if required. Let's say this tree that's right next to it falls and it cracks all this porcelain, it would be a lot easier to fix it if it were paint.
Facial lens there too, that might do that.
Yeah, so anyways, there is in my mind, there is a
Yeah.
potential for mixed media, but I think anything human height and down must be consistent, and I think durability, longevity, and ease of application, to be honest, and ease of maintenance, it's tile all the way for me.
You just can't get all of what we talked about. You cannot get an airplane and a train as easily.
I didn't mean that, I just
No,
meant,
I know, but
I don't know what you can do.
representative of it.
Let's, you know, I
That's
think
some-
it's important to give the artist creative leeway too, right? Just say, here's.
Exactly.
So for
You
me,
stifle them.
for me to have that whole top
Yeah.
piece be dense like that
Yeah.
feels too heavy over the head. That's where I would like to see a lighter application with maybe a medallion piece to
Or
it.
maybe nothing at all. I mean, honestly, like.
Or nothing at all, but if something goes up there, I'd like it to feel less like this and more like flowing and open.
Yeah, so
The
we should
canopy-
prioritize the
The
stairs. that way.
canopy, is the canopy currently there?
Over the door.
Like that?
There we go, okay. So that canopy has, in light of this architecture, this Japanese architecture, the canopy has actually a very significant role, right? You often see interiors and exteriors in Japanese houses that have the entry flags that hang down when you walk through. And that is what this canopy is evoking in that. So it does lend itself, in fact, to what you're seeking.
Yeah.
Uh,
Something
in
that's
that-
lighter, that's too
That is
heavy.
symbolic, that it signifies safety and welcome and protection, because that's what they signify in the architectural, in the architecture that this particular building is adopting or has adopted. So there is consistency that you can do there. It can be complementary to, it doesn't have to absolutely mirror what's going on below. It's
Right.
complementary to it. The other thing is, besides prescribing, if we take the four expectation lists that we have compiled right now, and I've gotten them all written down and read them all back to you. In addition to melding those into one prescriptive list, we can also have a series of asks that we associate with the prescription. For example, if the artist is willing to consider, to describe to us precisely how they make, for example, their tiles, and if the artist is willing to consider some newer technologies in how tiles are made, for example, or other asks like what we're talking about, the canopy versus the lower design. We can make those asks in our prescription. And so I think that we should take, you don't want to give them 50 asks, so now you're taking the artistic freedom away, but you can make 3 or 4 or 5 asks where you're asking them to be more specific with you as to what they envision, and then things that you want them to kind of pursue. And then they can decide, well, no, I really don't want to, that's constraining me, I don't want this bit anymore. Or they might go into a dialogue with you and be very open to you influencing the direction of their art.
May I ask, how does this move forward?
That's what I'm trying to get to so we can move forward.
Well, not necessarily like this meeting, but how do we present this to our artists?
We need to get it done this year.
Yeah, so how do we?
Or at least try. I mean, that's it. I'll get the maintenance done. Like I said, once again, We don't know how much it costs, so let me try to sum this up and see if we can accomplish what we're trying to do with this item in here, in this meeting. So right now, it sounds like we're close to selecting a medium. If you could, my thought is if this commission can find a medium, find a boundary, it sounds like you're really close to finding a boundary of what needs to be or what should be included. But also let me remind you that you haven't selected an artist yet. So if you're putting all these limitations on them or telling them try new this and that, everything, you haven't even selected an artist yet. So I would suggest that the commission set certain parameters such as medium, such as boundaries, such as theme, and say, give us your best shot.
I agree.
And you create, to help speed up this process, create an ad hoc committee that can review this thing and bring it back to the commission. That's what I would suggest, or actually it could come back to the commission at the next meeting.
Yeah.
And that's fine. So either way that we bring it back, but if we can have this commission just create those general boundaries, let them, because you still have to select it. Once you've selected the artist, because you have a concept of what you want, and you have a, you know what, this looks better, I like this art better, they really took this into consideration, you select an artist, now you can work with the artist and say, how much is it? Maybe we don't do the canopy, things like that, you can actually, once you've selected, and I just, from my experience where I don't know art that well, but my experience with a contractor, a contractor that would do any kind of design for me. And that's what I'm doing with the dog park right now. The design, I wanted to see, hey, give me your rendition of what a dog park would look like. And then I worked, Nate, I don't like this. I like you as a designer, but now this is what I need in the dog park. So that's just an example.
So here's my response to that. I agree with you 100%. However, what I have noted is that we're three of us, it'd be interesting to hear what the other commissioners think. But three of us here seem to be leaning towards porcelain, and one is leaning towards paint, which is fine, but these two artist finalists that we have, they're pretty distinctly separate in the medium they use. I don't see crossover between them. I don't see Granillo or Littman using paint, and I don't see Granillo using tile. So in a way, asking both of them to meet the criteria that three people here have noted, kind of an empty exercise to me.
Well,
people,
my criteria was type of medium that weathers. That's my criteria.
One of them will weather. I mean, we know murals last a long time, so either one of these artists would be able to do that. They both have the experience and the bandwidth to do it. To move us forward, it sounds like most people, because I know Janet really preferred this artist last time. I wrote the list down, I should have brought it, so this was what her top.
Yeah, that was her top.
Well, if you believe that if we want to back away from our partisanship on certain media, and I'm willing to do that. I know I'm really into porcelain, but, and I shouldn't say porcelain, ceramic is what I should say, because as long as it's high-fired ceramic, I'm okay. Well, then that's even better. So, if what I'm trying to say is I am willing to back away from my partisanship on, I only want tile, to say something along what you say, which is I want them to prove the weather durability, and then the subsequent maintenance costs to maintain that beauty, as part of this decision-making process. I'm willing to back to that.
So if
Are
you,
you?
I think, here's the thing, historically, what we've done is we've just voted on which artists we prefer, and it's okay, art is very subjective, and it's okay to say, I respect their art, but I prefer this one. And I just think that, like, if we get too much in the weeds, like going back and forth, this is gonna take forever. I think we need to just today say, I prefer Adrian, or I prefer, Chris. And then move forward with the artist.
What about that idea?
I don't know if I heard you right on this, Manny, but go to each of them and say, will you give us?
Well, that's exactly the
Well,
decision.
yeah, and I just suggested that because we haven't chosen an artist, but if you decide to choose an artist right
I mean,
now,
clearly one
Then you start
specializes
working with
in
them.
one medium and one specializes in another. Regardless of durability, I personally prefer a mosaic, So I'm
fine
dead
with
set on
being an artist because I was with Adrian all along. So it's up to you guys.
Well, so I'm just gonna say one more thing about it, so, and I'm not gonna, if everybody wants, I love porcelain, and I love mosaics, and I love, I honestly just don't like this work. I don't, I like some of his work, but it does not represent anything with that I'm looking at. I don't get the feel of the space, I get the feel of it's his art. And what I really wanna make sure is that what we get is our space, not his art.
Well, you're gonna
So
give him
you
that
know what I
criteria.
mean? It's like, I want it to feel like Los Altos, not Mr. Littman's artwork.
Let me offer a
Does that make
let me
sense?
offer a counterpoint.
That's fine.
There, the artist past history was probably strongly driven by the agencies, you know, he's worked with agencies, government agencies, architects, structural engineers, members of arts commissions and community. So what you see as examples were probably strongly driven by those entities, which probably have very different ideas than we
We
do.
can talk about that all night.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, I'm not judging any of these artists on the content of their past work. What I wanna know is, do they have the core competencies artistically to make beautiful things?
Both of these do.
And they both do.
Both of them do.
And then I personally have a preference for porcelain, as I said, I'm willing to back down from that. I think that if we did a vote right now to select between these two artists, I think we would choose somebody. I don't think
We
we would
already
be too.
Another thing to consider too is the medium. The only place I can think of in the city where we have mosaic is at Grant Park. We have so many paintings in here downtown. There's so much paint.
Yeah, and I love that part of it. I just want this to feel like.
Totally, I totally get that. And
Not his,
any,
not like his, another place for his artwork.
any good artist should.
I know, but
We're not going to prescribe an artist and tell them what to do. What
I
I think,
want someone who goes, you have to match the sofa. I want his artwork to be his artwork.
there you go.
But this does not, these colors, this style.
He's not gonna make a mock-up
Okay.
and spend hours making a mock-up until he knows he's.
I understand. I actually do know art, I've run art galleries, I have a lot of art experience. But the thing is, I just wanna make that for the record. Yeah, I think the colors will match.
I think if we give him like a lot of, give him creative leeway, but like say, like, this is what we want, these are the colors we want, maybe these are the colors we wanna
Yeah.
avoid.
Yeah.
Or like, this is the style, like, we don't want anything too abstract. I think that he would respond to that.
I think if he is the artist that I think.
If he wants the job, yeah, for sure.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I'd like to define like the area for sure. And the only last thing I'll say about this is that what I liked about his work is there is a softness and an organicness to it. And that's what I feel like that invites you in and that you want to go, it flows. And it made me go, oh, this is nice. But I've let it go 3-1. And if Janet was here, it'd be 4-1. So we're good on mosaic. We don't need to talk about it anymore.
I think it's hard too, because those are bigger spaces, so there's more room.
Yeah, this is a very small amount of space.
I also believe that this is a seat of government. And there's a certain energy about a seat of government that, kind of demands a little bit more, a little less softness, a little less, it's kind of I'm reading the council and I'm reading what I think a lot of legislators would think. The fact that, for example, they didn't like the heart, they thought it was too hearty, folksy. And I don't think that most legislators would probably want that to be the entrance to their professional building.
Right.
So I think in light of that, I know that if we did a vote right now, I would be ready to select the artist.
Do you see that?
I'm ready to.
Okay, so.
Yeah, so I make a motion to propose Adrian Littman as the designer of our stairs with the porcelain medium.
And with friendly amendment that we add some suggestions that.
Of course, we have to check it
that
out.
the staff has listened to us and would add to him.
Yeah, they're all
Can you
right here.
can you say it in a way that you will work with him to finalize an agreement to do that work.
Okay,
Because if you
Yeah.
put that on him, yeah, that's, you're saying by this motion that we're working with him.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna work
Finalize an agreement.
to finalize an agreement to do this
Okay.
work.
Okay.
We haven't done it yet.
okay. So I propose that we will petition Adrian Littman to come to, that we will work with him on coming up with a design, yeah, a plan, a design.
That
That,
includes the scope of work, the style of work, and.
Cost.
And cost.
Friendly amendment.
Medium, or do you want porcelain listed specifically? Because the first.
we should probably just do porcelain, right? at this point?
It was already in there, I just.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
My concern, so friendly amendment is that we say that we're choosing Adrian Littman as someone we'd like to get the plan from. the proposed plan.
We're already saying that.
And that we, as a, commission, will define the parameters of the.
We already say that.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear that. I heard that he would submit a plan that would have those things in it. But we're going to give him the parameters.
Collaborate with Adrian to create,
Okay.
And we want to state it in a way that is collaborative
Yeah.
rather than prescriptive. We don't want to be, you never want to tell an artist that you're prescribing,
No,
even
I
though
agree.
you might be, but you don't
I
want to,
agree.
it's collaboration. Yeah, I feel very good about that.
Does anyone want a second?
I will second.
Could we have it read back?
It's in phrases right now, and I planned to use the
That's fine.
recording.
I trust you.
okay.
Okay.
I trust you.
Oh, I trust Casey. It wasn't her.
It's,
You don't trust me
No, that's it. We trust Mandy. I don't trust them.
we got, I think we have the direction though, that we'll be working with them,
Yeah.
with this person.
Yeah.
this person.
We'll take the official vote now before we talk anymore about who we do and don't trust.
Okay.
Chair Valdez.
Yes.
And then, Commissioner Couture,
Yes, please.
Commissioner Morris.
No.
Okay, and Commissioner Moore.
Yes.
Okay, I have 3 yeses.
It does not pass.
Oh, take the vote again.
Pass.
Please take the vote again.
Okay.
Restate and again,
Okay.
that vote is dead.
Sorry.
It's dead. So you have to
So I have to redo
restate
the
your
motion.
motion, so first motion does not pass.
Okay.
We have to do another motion.
Okay, so I propose a motion that, an ad hoc committee of the Park Commission will collaborate with Adrian Littman to create a design. No, you don't like my
No, I
motion?
don't use it.
No, we're not doing an ad hoc.
Oh, then you do an ad hoc.
No, I suggested it, but they said no.
Oh, okay, sorry, okay, scratch that. Okay. Okay, okay, I propose a motion that, the commission will work with, Adrian Littman to collaborate on a design that, that best, represents the parameters that we provide, be it medium, color, scope, et cetera. Cost. For the city hall stairs and
Surrounding
surrounding hardscape, including the ramps. Ramp.
I second the motion.
Okay.
Did I get it all?
Let's try this.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yes, I think you did.
Can I ask that in that for motions you asked me last?
Yes.
I appreciate
Okay, I tend to just go in order from when I call roll, but I can do it backwards.
I would appreciate
Commissioner Moore? Yes. Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
Commissioner Couture?
Yes.
And Chair Valdez? Okay, that passes.
Thank you.
Just fun note, there's some, people, staff that actually change the vote every single time when I go to commission meetings. I'm like, wait, it's so funny. Like,
mean the order?
yeah.
Oh, I like the order changed all the time. I don't, because I think that people should have to vote randomly.
Oh, no, I don't wanna talk about
Okay, are we done with this?
Yes.
So we don't need, I wanted to Yeah.
So Casey,
Stuff,
would
right?
it help you if I gave you these notes?
Yeah.
So I have the notes of what each person said.
Okay, great, and she can.
I took notes as well, and I have the recording.
Yeah, thank you, Casey.
So we'll
Which I
work something
submitted.
up and, yeah.
So does that mean we can't talk about what we'd like to see worked on, or no? You're just gonna work with what we already said?
Yeah, we'll.
Okay, all right, okay.
Okay, moving on.
So now what we have is we have,
On the agenda, it goes now to informational
Yeah.
items. So the first one, oh, that, I know,
there you go.
yeah. So now, so the first informational item is, summer concert talking points PDF.
So staff has included an extra sheet of talking points and the schedule for the summer concert series, and we are requesting that commissioners who are present and not, and when they see this meeting, hopefully they will use these talking points in their social circles. If you can please promote our concert series, and we do encourage you to contact Parks and Recreation departments. You can contact me directly or one of our other supervisors in running, who's running the concert series, if you would like to come out and volunteer.
Is there a hashtag?
We do not have a hashtag, but I bet Katie could create, or Katie could.
We should, because if we're gonna post on social media, we should use the.
Yeah,
hashtag.
then if you have the hashtag, it's a lot easier for us to post.
Make a note of that. So there you go, and the first concert is June 8th, the Peninsula Symphony, that's a Saturday, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a Saturday right there at Grant Park. So we've added that concert, we had 6 concerts last year. We added them as one of our concerts, so we are sponsoring their costs for sound and everything like that, sound and stage. So they'll be out at Grant Park. We think there's a very good, concert and a very good asset, so we hope you can, enjoy that first concert, and then our,
Say again, what was the first concert?
it's right there on June 8th.
Oh, June 8th, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. June 8th, and then the first Thursday concert will be June 13th. And we understand that you can enjoy your evening listening to music and going to the farmer's market as well that day. The farmer's market.
The first 4 at Grant, the last 3 at Hillview. Is there any reason why the indentation there, they're not in any way different, are they?
No.
That's just the way it's printed.
Yeah.
I thought at first they might be part of a series of the last.
Oh, no, yeah, that's a weird,
Okay.
it's like they're different bullets there.
Okay.
So there are your concerts. Any questions? Oh, yes.
It's kind of a question. Would it be possible, for us to get an email that has a way for us to post this on our next door feeds? So I did that for the job, openings. And if this could be created in that same way, where I would just be able to click and then it goes on to next door and it opens up, I think that would be really
Yeah,
good.
these were talking points that were created for the commissioners, so they can
Well, I don't need
Get
this
their
exact thing.
Rotary meetings, yeah, but we can get the
Something we
flyer,
could maybe post,
we can get
yeah.
the flyer or the publication of
That'd be
whatever.
great.
Yeah,
Is
let's-
that online?
On our
yeah,
Oh,
there is, so we'll link you, we'll send it to the commission,
Okay,
we'll send it to the commission.
all right.
The easier it is, the better for me, because I'm not a tech gal.
Yeah, we'll send it out.
Okay. And I always figure everything out, but there might be some weird indentations when I do it.
All right, next informational item is Juneteenth.
So that flyer is also attached, that's the next page, that Juneteenth event is, actually June 22nd, which is a Saturday, and it'll be right here at the Hillview, soccer field. They'll be taking over half of the soccer field there, and Justice Vanguard's, doing that one. They're administering that in partnership with us and the other major sponsors that they have at the bottom of that flyer page. So I wanted to include that. It looks like, it'll be another big event this year. It's a great event, lots of food and music and other things and artwork and stuff like that. So please think about joining. And then one other thing that's not on the agenda that I did want to address, it's kind of serious. Yeah, I'm gonna shock you. We have honored our Commissioner Teresa Morris as a CPRS Volunteer of the Year. I want to thank her for all her volunteer time that she's put in. Definitely doesn't boast about it, but she's at almost every event that I know of. So we want to thank her very much. Congratulations.
Awesome,
Yeah, I was
congratulations.
very honored.
Yeah,
I was
it's
very
very well
surprised.
She was honored at the CPRS honor awards dinner.
What does CPRS stand for?
California Parks and Recreation Society.
Congrats, that's
So you were
amazing.
volunteer of the year of CPRS?
For,
No.
for Los Altos,
Los
Parks and Recreation, yes.
I'm not that good.
Like, I'm not that-
I know, let me work on it,
Parade.
just kidding.
For all of you, okay, well,
Well,
I'm gonna be honored in the parade, the Festival of Lights.
No, I don't think so.
yeah, my own little
I'll put the
Honda.
request in again.
My own.
We'll see if we can get it.
That's great.
So that, I think that's all.
well, volunteers of the year in other aspects of the city, why not in Parks and Rec?
Well, it would help Park and Rec.
Yeah.
Well, it's the staff.
Congrats, Teresa. Well done, well done.
Thank you.
Just
All right.
means everybody else
Here
sees.
you are, serious items.
I know, I was like, uh-oh.
Excellent, very well done.
What should I do?
I know, all of us, like, what are we in for?
It is serious, that's a
I
big.
know, thank you.
Especially with all
It's
the
very
time.
nice. It was very nice. I was rather embarrassed and humbled and pleased, so thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was all for the
So
information.
now,
We're done with informational items. Ending on a very good note. Now moving on to commission subcommittee. We don't have any subcommittees, so commission, should we?
We gotta change that.
Subcommittee.
Yeah, I just noticed that's
Yeah.
still on there, we should change that.
Reports and requests for future agenda items. Let's first, anybody have any kind of oral reports or updates, or did you do anything cool?
I have a question.
Yes.
How are we doing on the brochure?
Janet emailed me
okay,
and we needed to establish the art. I think there were a few things that we were,
yeah, because
Because somebody
Unsure about-
emailed me
yesterday and said that the
sculpture at,
It's at Heritage Oaks, it's missing.
He took it,
Yeah, why?
he's done, but I guess that was it.
He took it, I
One
thought
of
you
the
said
artists.
he took it, okay.
The artist came and picked it up, that's it. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you. He called me and,
It's stolen all
all over the
no,
place.
no, no,
There's a cone on it, so I knew that it was staff.
the one that heard.
The one that was, it's on, Portland.
we've had that for 2 years.
Yeah, we've had it for 2 years.
Can you move the turtle to that spot? It'd be a lot more visible.
No, the turtle's this high.
I know, but we could put it
We should.
on a
we should-
post at an angle, something.
Remove those light bulbs.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just.
Parks currently is sculptureless.
No, we have a turtle on the walking path. Where's the other one?
Wow.
All right, I'll send a staff out there to make sure, they don't think we're stealing it.
Yeah.
I think he came and took it himself, so.
Is your question?
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, anybody have any
Good
other?
question, thank you.
What about putting I always wanna call them pinwheels. What about, can we put
Oh, those,
you know what I'm talking about, that we're supposed to go Grand Park?
we'll probably have a discussion once that
Yeah,
is all done.
Yeah, we should maybe,
future agenda item is what to put in that location, if anything.
they're still available because.
Get anything, we might use more in this time, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know, I gotta see when those leases are up, but
yeah.
she has the whole,
Okay, yeah, what else was gonna do?
yeah. No,
The
because
thing
we
about
still don't-
working with the graphic designer for the brochure is she's very much like, give me all the information, like she's not like a back and forth person.
Okay,
She's
good.
kind of like, give me everything, well, it's good and bad, because it's kind of like, I have to reach out to her and just be like, this is
So wave
exactly what I
on.
need.
Yeah.
Wave is gone.
That's what it's called,
Yeah,
Wave.
wave.
Okay, so Wave is gone.
Anybody else?
No, no updates, but future agenda item?
Hold on.
Okay.
That means the dog's coming up on 2 years too.
Is that dog on loan too?
Yeah.
Yeah, just all at the same time.
Do they just come take it out on their own, or does staff take them out?
It depends on the artist if they need help.
Oh.
But he didn't know, he says, I got somebody, I'll come get it. He goes, I just want you to know before I take
So you're
it,
gonna
so I don't
write it,
stop,
yeah.
call the cops, yeah,
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
fine.
Okay.
Where's the dog at,
He's at Grand Park,
Grand Park.
Oh,
Grand
okay.
Park Lane, like behind the buildings.
that's
Yeah,
right.
he's really cute. I mean, he's like
That's a-
perfectly
oh,
suited for that
that's
area.
it, right, or no? Is that not?
What is it
Thought that was the
called?
name of it.
No,
Okay.
no,
But the
he's
dog,
not
the dog.
sitting though.
I thought it was, okay. that's
Yeah.
fine.
I have an announcement.
We could, when things come up, there is one piece of art that I've, just as an update.
Yeah.
There is one piece of art where, it's just, I think it's overdue for pickup already. It's out at Lincoln Park. John updated me on a lot of these, and he said that one is up. That's due, the rent is up. I forgot which one. But I haven't, yeah, I guess we were renting it. And he doesn't wanna rent it anymore, but John thinks that we can buy it.
Oh.
So I'm gonna talk to that artist about
Okay.
keeping it, but I'll bring that to here
Okay.
before I make that decision.
That,
I don't know, I forgot, I can't remember. It's in my notes.
What about the boars? Are they boars? The little,
Wild boars.
Yeah.
At Mary Mead? Yeah, is that one coming up? Cause I
Sargent,
love that one there.
It's pretty new. Yeah,
I don't
that's.
know, I feel like
It's
time
newer
is
than the dog.
Yeah, it's newer.
Okay.
Could we do this as a future agenda item, have what art is expiring and what art?
Oh, yeah, we definitely will. We definitely will.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm dealing with a couple of things right now though, so once I get that settled, because that art that I was telling you is expiring, if we're able to purchase it, I'll bring it back and we'll say,
Okay.
stuff like that, so things are
All of
still.
them. I
This
was-
one caught me by surprise, he just called me, he's like, it's gone, I'm like, yeah, it
he
is.
probably needs to sell it.
Yeah, no, he's already had a place for it, he's renting it to somebody else now, so he's ready to go,
For more money.
probably, yeah.
Okay.
So, okay,
So we have that as right now on our future agenda items.
We could, unscheduled, yes.
We don't have anything, so,
But- we did. We had on our last agenda, they just didn't roll over.
No, it should be, I've got it.
Oh, on mine, it doesn't have anything on.
Yeah.
future.
Oh, you know what, go to, because when it printed 2 pages over, go past the minutes. Scroll past the minutes and it should say 3 of 3.
Literally doesn't go anywhere else, but that's
No, no, no,
okay.
I've got it, if you
Okay,
go to the
that's cool.
full,
So what's on the?
if you go to the full packet, if you open the full
Here
packet.
it is, right here.
Yeah.
Community Center Art Gallery theme selection.
Okay, got that one.
Okay.
Redwood Grove Pathway, art tours, park in lieu.
Okay, well, I'm just crazy, it's not on the website when I look,
It is
okay.
in the full packet though, not on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh.
sorry about that, I think it got slotted in between the minutes.
printable.
So let me just touch on 2 things, and the rest is unscheduled still, and actually the art.
Wait, it is here, the Serengeti purchase. That's the Serengeti one. Status update on the recommended purchases of Midnight Stomp and Day on the Serengeti.
That was last meeting.
But that means that it probably is up soon, the
That's what
Serengeti
Yeah,
one.
I'm looking at it, I don't know exactly when. it's
Yeah.
up. So I'll look at that.
I should actually find
So
out.
what are you planning to do at this moment?
I'm about to read these things that are really important.
Thank you.
All right, Community Center Art Gallery theme selection, that is going to be on the June meeting. So I am charging this commission, those present and those who will see this in recording, to come to the next meeting and we will briefly, have a discussion on what the next theme will be for the Community Center Art Gallery.
From what date to what date does it go?
I'll have that information in the report. Because this one, yeah. Yeah, I just want you to, yeah, okay, so when you think about things, basically, I think it's gotta come down the end of June, I think is when it's coming down. Is that right?
So
Yeah,
it'll be
so
July,
it's gonna be, so think about July through,
December.
you tell me, I don't
How
know.
long does it go usually?
I think it was supposed to go through November last
Yeah,
year,
yeah.
but we delayed the install until January, right?
So
July to November, maybe,
Okay.
or December?
It's fine.
Okay.
So it would be fall through fall. All right, so think about that. The next item is I have finalized, the draft of the permanent dog park, concept. And, with the architect, and he will be bringing that with his assistant to the next meeting in June for your review. So you will see a preferred option based on all the information that they received in many different ways of input, including this meeting that he came to. And then you will see an alternative option as well.
2 options.
You will see 2 options. They're not drastically different from each other,
Yeah.
but you will see those options there. Okay.
will you be sending out emails to all of the dog park
We will send
email
out, we will
lists?
send out,
Thank
we
you.
only have one dog park email list, we'll send it
Okay,
out.
great. Okay, cool, thanks. So there's no surprise.
But I want clarification. We have one dog park email list.
Yeah.
But how comprehensive is it?
It is anyone who's
Anyone
ever
who's ever-
spoken, given their email address at a park meeting or at any of our workshops, or written in an emailed comment.
Can we have it on the city manager's update too, so that everybody knows? That's a good idea. Please, thank you.
The dog is expired. He was installed April 2022.
Well, they haven't called me yet, so.
Sorry, I love that dog, because I live near Grand Park. so.
So April 2022, it was installed and we only get it for 2 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the Serengeti one.
Oh, that's the dog. Oh, sorry, okay.
That's the dog that's the stone.
Henry.
Thank you for that.
Comprehensive list, because I think it's important. A lot of times people hear email list and they think it's certain special interest groups. And this is comprehensive, which
And
is.
people just call sometimes too.
And so we just add them. to
Where
the
are
list.
you with the dog park? And
Well,
I'm
that's
like,
perfect. I'll send out.
Awesome.
I'll put you on.
We want to make sure.
yeah, so, and I bring that up because, I think really that's probably the only two topics we're gonna be able to handle in June. I
Okay.
do expect a crowd here for the dog park.
Yep.
Always.
So I'll explain the direction that we'll have with
Could be a
that
long
review.
meeting.
It could be a long meeting.
Just so you know.
There's plenty of those.
They're all park people now.
All part.
Okay.
Look at all this productivity we have in this art,
Don't have the history
art decision.
of dog park.
Other items on the, future agenda items are unscheduled at this point, so I'll just leave it at that. Okay, that's all.
Sorry, is that next meeting with me or anyone?
I would like to make one,
Potentially.
I didn't get to actually put out my report, so we've got on to future agenda, so I'll just backtrack us a little bit. I would like to, I want to make the statement that, kind of update you a little bit on what's going on with the museum. I think a lot of you may know that Elizabeth Ward, director, has moved on, and there's an interim director in place right now until they find a new director. And there are two, major projects that I think affect land. So I think it's important to let you all know what's going on over there. One is the harvest for the orchard will be coming up in June. It obviously depends on ripeness and weather. And they're undergoing a process right now where they want to create an equitable way of harvesting the orchard. And I think that's a very interesting, both intellectual and cultural exercise. So it probably would behoove Parks and Rec commissioners to, kind of be aware of that. And they had an event last week where they had a discussion with the community to brainstorm ideas of how harvesting should happen now that the museum is under the steward for the orchard, but it still is a community area. And then the other area that involves land has to do with the topic that did come before the commission before, which is the ongoing efforts to derive a public art as well as land acknowledgement in the area where the oak tree was replaced with the new oak tree. So again, something for you all to keep your eyes and ears open to what's going on there, to the extent that we want to contribute, or at least just be aware, or residents ask us about what's going on. That's it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
I found,
Wait, sorry, I have to share.
okay,
Serengeti's older than the dog. It was installed in March.
20.
I felt like it was one of
These
the.
are all the
Everything's
So it's
expired.
expired also? I thought that got renewed. No?
I have the spreadsheet that shows the latest
if
info.
we could, that'd
So
be
let me,
awesome.
well, I brought it last time.
Oh.
Actually, I think I gave it though. I gave it
Oh.
to,
Janet?
Janet, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Janet has all the
Yeah,
information.
Okay, I'll
That
check.
spreadsheet, exactly. And the yellow is updated. So I don't know if there's any updates on those.
all that,
Yeah.
her sisters.
Yeah, I'm gonna take over, cause
I wrote here, Janet's gonna deal with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I had in my mind too.
All right, and you had already announced, Cindy, you had already announced.
That's right. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Cindy, has resigned, as a commissioner. So we have 6 commissioners now. Okay.
Are we gonna get another one? Are we supposed to have 7 or did we just have 7 because of the
No, we're
combination?
supposed to have
We're
some.
supposed to have 7. I'm not sure what council's well aware
Oh, we
of what's
can-
going on, so I don't know what council's planning. I don't know if they're gonna put a recruitment out or do it once a year,
I
so.
think it's once a year is what the rule is now.
Well, they can do it at their discretion more often. I would totally be in favor of finding a replacement sooner than later. Whatever that's worth. Okay, with that, I am going to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you so much.
What time is it?
Oh, I forgot to
There
look.
you go.
Thank you.
Does that mean that if 4 people vote then it's now our quorum's changed,
No,
right?
No,
It's still.
It doesn't?
No.
yeah, that's why that other motion didn't pass.
Yeah, we have to have 4.
Okay.
4 passes when you're 6.
5 of us? Is there only 5 of us?